Welcome back to SiteGrinder One Hint at a Time. I'm Chris Perkins, and today we're going to be looking at uh, styling text hyperlinks and talking about hyperlinks in general. Now, in front of us, we've got a page with a text layer, and we could be building this. Now, before I build this text layer, there's one problem with it. This particular text layer, despite having the T in Photoshop that marks it as a text layer, is going to be output by SiteGrinder as a graphic. It's going to be output as a graphic because the anti-alias is presently not set to none, and nor do we have a hint that would encourage SiteGrinder to output it as styled HTML text. So I'm going to fix both of these things right off the bat. So I'm going to set this style to none, and I'm going to set this to text. Great, put the text hint on it. So now this text layer will be output as styled HTML text in the browser, such that we'll be able to edit it later on in the content manager, add links to the text, and things like that. That's fantastic. But while we're working on the design aspect, we are worried about what the text links will look like, what a hyperlink in text will appear. And we can set that in the design manager. The only problem with this particular text layer is that this text layer doesn't actually have any links in it, and so while we can set the styles in the design manager, we won't be able to see what those styles are going to look like live in the browser since we don't have any links. So I'm going to fix this by simply putting a link in this layer. So even though I don't need it, I'm just going to put a link into a text layer, www.medialab.com. That's all I have to do. Just type a URL in a text layer, and SiteGrinder is going to do the right thing. It's going to automatically link this for us. And the nice thing about that is it means there's going to be a text link on the document such that we can style it in the design manager. So let's go ahead. Let's build this with SiteGrinder. Open it up. I don't expect any warnings or errors of any nature. And let's just go ahead and build this. Now, the reason it's built here, so there we have the text layer, and we can see that the default behavior apparently is to have the text be in, have the link be in blue or purple if it's been visited before, and underlined when the mouse is rolled over. That's sort of the default browser behavior for hyperlink, and but we can change that. And so that's why I put this hyperlink into the text. It's just so I have something to look at while I'm changing it. So I'm going to open up the text button and menu styles. And there is a layer here that's not really a layer. It's got this hyphen, text link hyphen. Every page has the option to have all the links on the page customized, and you should really take advantage of that and set that. If I just edit this style here, edit this text link style, then I'll be editing the style that's used by all the text links in the PSD anywhere. If I make a new style, I'll be making a new style for all the text links on this particular page. I'm just going to go ahead and edit this style globally, even for the other pages of this document. And now I can actually start to change things. So I'm going to say, well, let's override that foreground color. I always want the foreground color to be black, or perhaps I want the foreground color of a link to be this really cerulean blue here. So that's going to be my link color. And I would like my links to always have an underline, so it's very clear that it is a link. And I'm going to also change the hover state when the mouse comes over it. Rather than underline it, maybe we want it to turn bold. How does that look? Well, actually I don't like that so much. I need to keep the underline. And how about we just change the foreground color? I'll change the foreground color to some shade of red. So you can just see and play in the browser, as we've seen, we've done with the design manager. So that's good. I've set my text links, and now this will be kept. And if I want to, I can go back to Photoshop. If it's not appropriate to have this URL at the end of this text layer, I can just remove it now. But I just had it here long enough for me to be able to style this link. Now, before we go any further, I want to talk about setting hyperlinks. We get asked a lot of times. They've got buttons, which we've already seen how to create, and they're making menus, which we've seen already, and they're planning to put links in text, or they have they want to link phrases in text, and they asked, how do I set this up in Photoshop? There are ways of setting this up in Photoshop, and these will be discussed in advanced videos that we'll talk about, that we'll see later, much later. But they're not really the best way. The best way to set hyperlinks is to set them in the Content Manager. Far, far easier. You can set links on buttons there, you can set links on menus there, you can set links directly on any words of a text layer. You can just select them and put a link on them. And that's really the best place to do it, is in the Content Manager. And because the Content Manager comes late in the process, meaning after the site is sort of built, and after it's all done, designed with Photoshop, and after you're done with Photoshop, you really just need to think about that the linking aspect of your buttons and menu items and that sort of thing is a content aspect. It's nothing you need to worry about now. Personally, I find this rather refreshing. It's nice to be able to have aspects of the web design process that I don't need to worry about now. It's really frustrating when working in Photoshop, you're a long ways away from a finished site in Photoshop, but it's very frustrating to be working in Photoshop and having to think of every single detail, like, oh, where is this going to link to? How will I link this up? How am I going to link this to a PDF file? All that sort of stuff. While you're in Photoshop, that is not a good time to be worrying about those sorts of details. So instead, while you're in the Photoshop side, don't worry about those things. Just be confident you'll be able to set the links. You're going to be set. Later in the Content Manager, you'll be setting links. And I'm not going to cover setting links right now in this particular video because I don't want us to push into the Content Manager too early. We've got a lot of other material to cover, but later, when we get to the Content Manager, there will be a video specifically about setting links. Thank you very much.